Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, VM Data Protection for Dummies. As the operator said, my name is Kevin Lisandrello, a marketing specialist here at Quantum, and I will be your host for today's webinar. We will wait until the presentation is complete to answer your questions. Please use the Q&A feature found at the lower right-hand corner of your screen to submit your questions. At this time, I'd like to introduce our speakers, Casey Burns and Mark Thacker. Casey is the Product Marketing Manager for Virtual Solutions at Quantum. Casey has been with Quantum for a number of years and has extensive experience and knowledge in the storage industry. He has made many professional contributions in the area of data duplication and virtualization. Mark is the Principal Product Manager for Virtual Solutions and has extensive knowledge in the industry. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Quantum, in conjunction with Wiley Publishing, recently put together a book that helps customers overcome some of the challenges in protecting their virtual data, VM Protection for Dummies. Given our time today, our intention is to give you a high-level overview of the book. So I'd encourage you to visit the web address at the end of this presentation to download the free book and give it a read. We will also be emailing a copy to all those that registered and attended today's session. On the agenda of topics today, we have today's environment and why customers are challenged with their environment. We'll also spend time talking about protecting virtual environments and what some challenges you may see with using traditional approaches. We'll also spend time talking about shopping for a virtual data protection solution and a few key considerations to think about when you're looking for that protection solution. We'll also spend time making virtual data protection easy, talking about why Quantum's VM Pro will help you make this virtual data protection easy and making that transition. And as Kevin mentioned, we'll close out with a Q&A session. Next slide, please, Kevin. Quantum has helped thousands of customers solve their big data and data protection challenges. There are three main challenges driving data protection decisions today: managing data protection across physical and virtual servers, data growth due to the increasing number of virtual servers, and managing growing data volumes across geographically distributed sites. Today, we are obviously focused on data protection for virtual environments. Next slide, please. As server virtualization continues to accelerate into primary business applications, customers continue to experience challenges that this VM sprawl may create. Case in point is this graph shown here. A recent Quantum study shows that nearly 1 in 2 respondents are experiencing huge amounts of data growth associated with virtual environments. But they're also experiencing some challenges accompanied with software costs, needs to re-engineer storage, and resource contention. Next slide, please, Kevin. We took this poll a step further and polled the same set of customers and asked about their focus for the next 12 months around data protection. There's certainly a lot of work going around, plan on projects around increasing, re-architecting, and in some cases beginning to protect their virtual data. This leads us to our topic today around data protection for virtual environments. Data protection in virtual environments. In looking at data protection for virtual environments, customers are very quick to ask, why can't I use my existing backup application for this? Know that's okay, but there may be some challenges associated with using your traditional backup app to protect virtual machines. We'll explore a couple of these now. The first one being cost and complexity. Most backup apps charge on an agent basis, so license costs can rise quickly, particularly as more hosts are added to the environment. Some VMs may even get missed if no agent is existing on that host server. And since VMs are constantly moving around, having agents on each of these hosts is certainly a must, and again, rising costs and complexity of managing the environment. So agentless tools provide much more flexibility and can ensure complete backups of the VMs in the environment. The second challenge is around performance issues. Primary applications can typically work better in virtual environments and with other VMs as their workload is typically variable. This helps to eliminate resource contention with other VMs on the host machines. But backup apps have scheduled times that run their jobs with limited flexibility. So multiple jobs running on the same host can cause great strain and fighting for resources on the host system, causing overall performance issues, subsequently extending your backup window. So admins are quickly gravitating to VM specialty tools that know how to work in this virtual infrastructure. The third challenge is the lack of file-level access that some of the backup apps can provide. For traditional backup apps, it's easier for them to back up a whole VM into the VM, particularly those that are over-provisioned. This function limits restorability and causes the user to restore the entire VM and then view the files inside the VM, making restores more difficult and taking longer than necessary. Some tools back up guest file system info, allowing individual file level restores. That's great, but understand the complexity in the process and steps required to restore those individual files. It could be cumbersome and it could be time consuming. Better VM backup tools back up both whole VM and guest file systems for maximum restore flexibility. You could either restore the specific files within the VM, or you have the option to restore the entire VM. Again, maximum flexibility. The best avenue is to have the backup app present data in native VMDK format. This provides flexible backup and DR targets, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but it also limits vendor lock-in, as you don't need the backup app to do the restores for you, and also allows for faster and easier restores. Final challenge is extra data associated with VMs. VMs are typically over-provisioned for a number of beneficial business reasons. However, this creates a lot of empty space that does not necessarily need to be protected, or it can simply take up precious resources. And dead data is always around with VMs: expired files, redo logs, unassigned data, etc. Change block tracking, or CBT, from VMware does a great job of eliminating old data. However, change block tracking does keep a lot of other data that's no longer needed by the file system. Many backup applications back up everything and constrain already taxed resources, consequently increasing the backup window, or worse, harming your primary business application functions already in place. So it's better to have a backup app that provides a clean image for the backup target. This clean image provides massive data reduction and decreases resource utilization across the network and the host machines and the storage. This also minimizes the storage footprint regardless of the backup medium, whether using tape, disk, or cloud. Mark, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Casey. So you've hit the main highlights there. One other item that we've noticed that our customers are telling us is that in traditional backup applications, they don't necessarily realize a significant degree of data deduplication. Even using something like change block tracking in VMware, the data that's presented to a deduplication software or deduplication target device is essentially more random than it needs to be. There is still extra bits of information. Those extra bits get copied, they get stored, they get sent over the wire. You as a customer ultimately end up paying the price for all those extra bits. If the data cannot be deduplicated appropriately, then long term, you're using more storage than you absolutely need to. So we'll talk more about some possible solutions to that later on in the deck.
Thanks, Mark. So moving right along, shopping for a virtual data protection solution, there's certainly some considerations to think about. Again, we're touching very high level on these concepts, using traditional approaches with VM backups and shopping for a VM data protection tool. So again, I would encourage you to download the book from our website free of charge to get even more great detailed information on these topics. There are three main considerations when looking for a VM backup application: the importance of the backup format, how well does the solution integrate with other technologies, such as my existing backup application and even deduplication technologies, and also the manageability within the virtual environment. How well and how easy can I manage this new tool in my environment? So let's talk a little bit more about these. Backup format importance. Most backup apps generate files in a proprietary format. This could be an issue, as only this backup app can access the data from a go-forward basis. This also slows you down from a restore perspective and creates a vendor lock-in to that specific backup application. But probably most importantly, this proprietary format reduces your backup and DR choices. Mark, would you like to add anything to that?
Sure. When you're looking at backing up a virtualized environment, there is a great deal more flexibility that a customer has with what to do with their data in a virtualized environment. However, taking that data, wrapping it up in a proprietary format, can dramatically reduce what choices you can actually execute against. As an example, some of our customers are asking us for ways to creatively move portions of their data from production into test and vice versa. when you have data wrapped up in a proprietary format, that often will encourage you to have to do multiple steps of backing up and restoring just to get back to a single file that you might need to move from your production environment into your test environment. By having a backup application that keeps the data in a native format where it's readily accessible, even at the file level at any point in time, you have a great deal more flexibility with what you can do with your data. I think the key takeaway from this part of the discussion is to remember you don't know yet what you want to do with your data in the future. So watch how you're wrapping your data. It will make a difference.
That's a great point, Mark. Thanks for reiterating that. So backing up in original or native format is certainly more useful for today's mediums and for more flexibility, as Mark mentioned. Providing faster, more flexible restores gives more freedom in backup and DR targets. It also allows you to do things with disk, tape, and even cloud. Another consideration is integration with other technologies with VM Backup App. Customers looking to run two different backup apps can incidentally create more cost and complexity for themselves than what they thought they were going to do. So VM tools have certainly come a long way, but they can leave some data vulnerable with immature DR protection methodologies. It's best to have a product that provides unique integration with existing investments in current backup apps and processes. So ask yourself and ask the vendor, can the VM backup tool work directly with the traditional backup app? Can the VM backup tool allow the traditional backup app to see native file system structure inside the VM package, giving you easy restores? And will the VM backup tool take advantage of data reduction techniques of the VM tools such as CBT, change block tracking, and any cleanup beyond CBT, which we mentioned earlier? And how well does the VM backup tool integrate with existing processes, retention, and management rules that are already in place with your existing infrastructure? You're already using a current backup application. You already have a lot of these processes in place. How well does that exist? Is that new tool going to work with that environment, or is it going to be completely standalone? And finally, working with other data reduction technologies like dedupe. Will the VM tool work only with its own dedupe, or can you use a secondary technology for dedupe? By combining software technologies with best-in-breed dedupe, customers can see dramatic savings and dramatic improvements in their environment. Manageability of the VM backup application. So taking advantage of virtual appliance deployments is something that customers can do with VM tools. This creates easy delivery of the solution as the tool is a complete package in a simple VM. Certainly this can also reduce overall costs as no additional host is required. Just use your existing infrastructure. As a virtual appliance, the application can also use VM tools such as vMotion and vStorageMotion. And seamless integration with VMware is certainly a must. The VM Backup app should work with vCenter, allowing the tool to auto-discover new VMs and locate ones that have moved to different hosts. VMs are constantly moving around, they're constantly being created, and you need a tool that's going to be able to go out to vCenter and actually auto-discover those VMs and locate those VMs no matter where they have been, or where they are now, and any new ones that may have been created. And also another technique is also integrating with VMware is also to take advantage of pooling of VMs. Take this group of VMs and protect these, and don't touch this group of VMs. So again, consolidation and working with the resources already in your environment. The app should also provide native file system view of VMs and the backup copies. As mentioned earlier, this gives you maximum flexibility in backup and DR choices, and completely reduces your vendor lock-in. So moving right along to making virtual data protection easy. We've talked a lot about things already. Let's talk now about how we can make all this easy on you with Quantum's VM Pro solution. Quantum VM Pro is a complete data protection solution for virtual environments deployed as a virtual appliance model. It delivers simplified management, optimized protection, and future-proof flexibility. Let's talk about simplified management. With VM Pro, you can back up VMs in their native VMware format. You can easily copy VMs to any NAS storage target or to the cloud. And schedule-based with multiple policies for different backup mediums, and for VM pooling, which we just mentioned. So take these VMs and protect these, and then don't touch these VMs. Allows a lot of flexibility for your environment. And since the data is stored completely in a native VMDK format, This allows you with VMs that are bootable regardless of their location, provides you with file-by-file level access. The data can be used for any application such as development, engineering, or testing. Features designed to simplify management. VM Pro gives you simplified management with a native VMDK file system view. This is unique to the Quantum products technology. This allows the customer to take the virtual infrastructure and view it as a file system. It integrates with vCenter, so it auto-discovers any new VMs that may be present or that weren't present in the previous backup, and also knows exactly where they lived before and where they are now. You can do all this management through a VM Pro GUI or through a standard file browser. This creates simple drag-and-drop restores. So customers can easily go through the file browser, look at the file structure of the virtual environment, and drag and drop individual files even inside the VM. And I see that our horizontal view there is a little messed up, but I apologize about that. But the beauty of this also is that it presents this file structure as a CIFS or NFS target for the backup application, for an existing backup application. So you can use your existing backup application, but then take this data that VM Pro has presented and back it up utilizing your normal processes and procedures. Mark, what other uses can we think about with using this technology?
You know, it's an interesting possibility because if you think about this on a simple basis, we've taken the entire VMware infrastructure and simply exposed it as if it were another file share. This allows administrators to browse, inspect, and do things like virus scanning and informational searches on the entire VMware infrastructure without having to run a process inside of every virtual machine. Now, this works for Linux, and it works for Windows as well. So for those platforms inside of VMware, we can actually see their mounted file systems. So imagine being able to basically double-click your way through the entire infrastructure of VMware without having to run a process inside of every single virtual machine, do your virus scanning, do email recovery, etc., all out of band, out of the day-to-day operations of backup or restore. So it's a very empowering technology.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Moving right along to optimized protection. We talked earlier about VMs being over-provisioned and essentially needing to go on a diet. I'm going to let Mark discuss how VM Pro can put your VM on a Nutrisystem program to reduce load on resources by as much as 75%. Mark?
Sure. So as we were talking about earlier, the change block tracking technology is a way that VMware tracks what's changed within the virtual machine. And it does that, like the name implies, at a block level. Traditional or even virtualization-aware backup applications will use this change block tracking as a means to determine what has changed since the last time I did a backup and only back up those change blocks. Well, that sounds like it is efficient, and in many ways it is. There is an extra level of efficiency to be gained by using knowledge of the virtual machine itself. And that is where VM Pro has a unique patented technology that allows us to actually look inside of the virtual machine, say the Windows operating system of the guest virtual machine, and do a comparison of what VMware is reporting back as change blocks versus what the Windows operating system inside that VM thinks it is actually using as far as blocks are concerned. We do that comparison, and we can quickly determine that not all of those change blocks actually need to be backed up. As an example, if you are running a virtual machine, you do a significant amount of software installation on that virtual machine where there's a lot of adds and removes that occur during that process. In VMware world, CBT will show quite a few change blocks, right? Order of magnitude, large number of change blocks. When we look at it from a VM Pro perspective, we look at what the Windows virtual machine thinks it's using versus what VMware says it's using for blocks, and quickly determine, you know what, there were a lot of deleted files. We don't need to back up these blocks. We don't need to send them over the wire. We don't need to have our deduplication engine try to dedupe it. We simply avoid transmitting these unnecessary blocks of data. And that's what you see in this graphical image here is starting off with the running virtual machine, a snapshot showing the number of changed blocks. It's where most applications typically stop in their optimization, and VM Pro going one step further, really looking at those change blocks, comparing them to the system, and determining what actually has to be backed up. Because of this, we save in many areas. We actually save significant amounts of disk I/O so that we avoid reading these blocks from disk to begin with. And then the savings add up as you talk about what is not being transmitted over the network and what is not being sent to the target device for deduplication. All in all, what you're seeing here is a very unique approach to optimizing the way that you read data from disk and write it out to your backup device. And again, it's very unique to the VM Pro environment. It is patented technology.
That's great, Mark. Thanks for that really good explanation. I mean, clearly, VMs have a lot of extra data. Change block tracking has made significant strides in eliminating some of that, but as Mark just so eloquently explained, there's a lot of data that's still in those file structures no longer needed. And obviously, in today's virtual environments where a lot of the resources are taxed heavily already, if we can eliminate some of those resources, eliminate some of that I/O on the host as well as the network and even the storage device, we can help customers reduce a lot of their savings overall and help reduce some of that pain from them. I think one of the other key points here is really around the way that the functionality works in conjunction with deduplication devices. So Kevin, if you want to move to the next slide. So when you combine VM Pro and Quantum's DXi deduplication technologies, we can see savings for customers up to 95%. So the 75% of data reduction from VM Pro, you combine that with deduplication technologies, you can see another 20% worth of savings for your environment. So huge amounts of savings, massive data reduction for your environment. And this integrated solution allows you to manage DXi from VM Pro. So we can actually launch the DXi GUI from VM Pro. And Quantum also has an integrated management platform called Vision that allows you to manage all of your Quantum devices from one single location. So very, very powerful when it comes to combining these two technologies together. And we also have, it's a 100% virtual option. So VM Pro, as we mentioned earlier, is a virtual appliance and deploys itself as a virtual appliance in your VM infrastructure. At DXi, we have physical appliances that are very traditional. And we also launched DXi V1000, which is a virtual appliance expression of our DXi platform. So taking our entire DXi software stack, all the features and benefits of that technology, and putting it into a virtual appliance allows you to deliver a complete software, a complete virtual appliance option for complete data protection for your virtual environments. And this, again, a single vendor for complete solution, providing technologies that deliver very comprehensive products for your for you guys out there. So complete comprehensive protection for both physical, virtual, even cloud-based deployments. We see more and more customers looking at cloud, and we certainly are able to accommodate those solutions for customers. Moving on. So to complete the dialogue around VM Pro also provides future-proof flexibility. Since VM Pro presents data in native VMDK format, like we've mentioned a number of times today, this gives you much more flexibility, removes vendor lock-in, and simplifies restores by not having to go back to the backup app. And it also allows for bootable VMs from any location. Also, with the integration of VM backup with existing backup applications, policies and processes can be integrated into your VM backup tool. To follow the previous point, this provides you with freedom of choice. With VM Pro, you can use your existing backup application as a data mover to protect your data, or you can use the native copy utility that we mentioned earlier as a data mover. And finally, this helps to deliver a solution that can protect both your physical, virtual, and your cloud-based deployments, a complete enabler for all the types of mediums for data protection and disaster recovery. Next slide, please, Kevin. We see customers every day deploying Quantum VM Pro and DXi solutions to help protect both their physical and virtual environments with great results. And Ben Memorial Clinic is just one such example. As you can see on the slide, the impact of the Quantum solution has impacted them by six times faster backups. Their restores have been slashed from days to minutes, and a 4x improvement in IT productivity. And they're able to leverage VM Pro for their virtual environments, leverage DXi for the disk-based backup, and Vision Management for a complete single pane of glass for their management. So you can read more about the BIM Memorial case study on our quantum.com website, and read more about other customers that are using quantum data protection solutions as well on our website. Next slide. So in conclusion, Quantum VM Pro, again, a virtual appliance that delivers a complete data protection for a virtual environment. Delivers simplified management with this file system level view and doing everything in native-based format. It also provides optimized protection with the data reduction techniques we talked about earlier. And when combining that with our DXI portfolio of deduplication technologies, customers can see savings of up to 95% in data reduction. And then future-proof flexibility. At Quantum, we want to provide customers with technologies that can protect their data today, as well as where they may be going in the future, whether that's cloud or all virtual environment. So Quantum VM Pro is certainly a platform that provides simplified management, optimized protection, and future-proof flexibility. Next slide, please, Kevin. So I want to thank you for your time today. Again, to receive a complimentary copy of the VM Data Protection for Dummies book, feel free to go to our website at VM Protection for Dummies, quantum.com/VM Protection for Dummies. We'll also be emailing this book out to all the users that attended the call today, as well as those that registered for the call today. But one of the things, we also invite you to visit our website, both quantum.com/VM Pro and quantum.com/DXIB1000, to download both of these products for free and to try them out on your own and let us know what you think. These are certainly full working copies of the technologies, and we'd love to have you go out and try them out. Kevin, I think that's all we had today, so we're happy to take some Q&A.